Yep. Okay, I'm at Gaston.
Yeah, I was down. I was Mockingbird in the lake this morning.
Let's see. Audio.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? I can hear you, Scott, loud and clear. Kimball is still playing with his Bluetooths. All right. Easy, Kimball.
Yeah, I'm back. Oh, I love that. Oasis of the Seas.
Welcome to the Think Tank, where each day we share the news and open dialogue, discuss how it might affect the business world. We speak with different leaders in crisis navigation and management about crisis navigation and management, as well as experts in the professional and personal self-betterment. It's meant to be a break in learning and sharing of good ideas to help you start moving forward. It is called the Think Tank. Today we have joining with us Robbie Sawyer up in the top right corner from Thinker Society, where he helps your organizations and events navigate through their ideas and get to their better ideas faster. There's Kimball Anderson, Uber driver extraordinaire, currently on the job right now. Also part-times as a content producer and creative producer. Thank you for joining, Kimball. And T. Scott Anderson joining, producer, videographer, sports cinematographer, capturer of all things. And finally, Doug Carroll, advisor, coach to boards and executives, helping them figure out their way through challenging times and times of crisis. And last but not least, not from his car today, is Mike Toman from Houston, Texas, photographer and capture of all things still, shall we say, and with a fresh haircut, it appears.
Single framer here.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get
Hi,
one.
baby. Just like Scott looks like he got his haircut too.
No, just
no,
just took a shower about a half an hour ago.
Attaboy.
That works too.
Yeah. Well, there's a first for everything.
Yeah. First time this week.
Okay. Good.
So in the news, we have, what do we have?
Oh, I saw something yesterday. It was corona sniffing dogs being trained in Britain.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
They probably can do that, can't they?
Yeah, they can sniff cancer. They can sniff out other disease. And this guy was like, they can run through 250 passengers in an hour at the airport.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's your home test that I was talking about yesterday.
That's crazy.
Gives a whole new meaning to a home test.
Yeah. How invasive is the test, sir?
Just let my pooch in your house.
What exactly does it smell like?
Well, he smells your crotch, right?
Oh.
They said they don't have to touch you. They can just, I mean, I don't know how far they're going to get up your waistline, but you know.
Sir, you look like you might have COVID.
Yeah, come over here.
That's crazy.
and you smell like it too.
Hey, did you
COVID and cognac?
Did you guys see that the obviously everybody knows that the airlines are obviously suggesting that people wear masks on the airplanes, but then they also said that, and I kind of agree with this because of how crazy people are, asked to not engage. They're not going to enforce it once the doors are shut.
Oh.
So I mean, you can imagine the confrontation that. Although you got to believe it's a matter of time before that happens on an airplane anyway, where somebody's not wearing a mask and, somebody's got to, not to get political, but make America great hat. If that can set somebody off, imagine what not wearing a mask might do.
Well, but wait, right now, do you have to wear a mask to get on the plane?
Well, I think American and Southwest said you do. Isn't that right?
Yeah, but
do they say you do or encourage you to? That's two different things.
I think American encourages. I don't know that either one of. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I know that once the doors.
My thinking is that it's required. My thinking is it's required at least to enter the aircraft.
Yeah,
I
to
don't-
get on the plane.
Yeah.
I'll let you know tomorrow. I can't remember what
Yeah.
Christy said.
So Robbie's jumping on a flight tomorrow. Can't wait to get the report on that.
Yeah.
What was your flight? What was your cost of your ticket, Robbie, out of curiosity?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Okay.
But
Um,
rates are good.
I think it was 300 and something, but we just bought them. I just got it 2 days ago, I think.
Right. If you buy advanced purchase, you're going round trip most anywhere for under 300.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to go to Wuhan, we can do that for $800 round trip right now.
Yeah.
What about the dude that said he feels better? He feels safer being in Wuhan than he does being in the United States right now.
Well,
Mm.
stay
Is that
there.
guy?
I don't think so.
Yeah, stay there. Help yourself.
I think it's the 14-day quarantine in Honolulu on the way over and the way back. That would be nice.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah, for sure. They have it figured out. Oh, and speaking of, did anyone see Matthew McConaughey's? Who's a Matthew McConaughey fan? Just
Yeah.
because you're wondering what's going to come out of his mouth, but
Right.
he did an interview recently that was pretty cool.
What'd he say?
He just, obviously, kumbaya. Everybody needs to, he looks at the times we're in right now, and the mask component is just a Band-Aid, waiting for science to catch up, waiting for the medical world, to catch up. But it was, I think I was watching because I wanted him to go, all right.
Yeah, that's all anyone watches for. Yeah,
Yeah.
or to see how baked he is.
Yeah,
Okay,
and,
well,
I just wait for him to take off his shirt at some point.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's the truth.
there
Lovely.
it comes out quickly.
all right.
Yeah.
Here's a thought to think about or discuss. So we track everything. Well, some people are tracking everything that's happening here, and history repeats itself, and so on and so forth, and the plague of 1918, and how dismal that was, and jillions of people, and dark, and their internet didn't work during those times either. But what was interesting, if you think about that, look what happened directly after that. They had the biggest boom ever. That was the Roaring '20s.
Roaring 20s. Yeah.
And is that in any way tied to we were down in such a big dump that people reinvented themselves? I haven't done much history of that, but we're down in
Well, the other
dumps and
factor,
people reinvent and then they come out.
the other factor was we were also victorious in the World War I. It was ending, and there's typically a boom time after that. That might have had something to do with the 20s as well.
Doug has something to say
Industrialization was
about
a
that.
big
I
part
can
of
see.
it too. Yeah, industrialization was a big part of that too, because we
Right.
then
Yes.
started making more
Yeah.
stuff, hiring more people. And I watched the whole thing. I'm bored. I watched the 10 series things on the World War I. All of it was about Europe, except for the last episode is when we came in. So there's a lot more to that war. Go ahead, Benny. There's a lot more to that war than we hear about. But man, they were doing what Hitler was doing in Russia before he was even doing it.
Right.
He was putting people in trains and moving them off. It's like, wow, dude, this is. So it wasn't his idea. They were doing that a long time ago.
Doug, what's the historical context that you can help us with here?
Well, so, everything, if you look at the macro kind of trends of human history, it's very, very cyclical. So what you'll find is that over time, from, ancient times to now, you will see booms and busts in almost every society, right? And whether it's driven by success, whether it's driven by war, whether it's driven by pestilence, you'll see those things. And what you will see is that after people come out of it, right, there is an explosion usually in creativity, arts, economics, and everything else. So, there's always hope as we look at this, that, mankind is resilient in what it is. Now, what we're going through right now is going to be difficult, and it looks like everything that we kind of see now says it may be protracted. I think some of the things we talk about here, though, as we look at creativity and innovation, perseverance, resilience, those are things that, smart people like that are on this call that have that ability to do. It's individuals like you guys that will find yourselves in leadership positions that say, we've got to help people draw out of this. And so, being in his mid 60s, like me, I don't know about my end on where I'm going to end up. But for the world, I suspect it's going to be fine. We will figure this out. And then when you're done, there'll be a rise back up. So, from that side of a trend, it's best to think of this in the moment so much as in the trend line. If that's so.
We're looking for another roaring 20s.
Well, the variable that I would ask to talk about is, okay, so what about the 3 trillion here, 3 trillion there package? How do we recover from that?
Well, there's a lot of conversation around that, and what you'll find is it's not probably unlike when you had the New Deal Act of FDR, and they went deeply in debt as well, and somehow magically some of that just goes away. If you'll remember back not so long ago, I remember really well about the government being so deeply in debt, and and Social Security about to collapse and all these other things. And then we hit the Reagan years, the economy turned, and by its own nature, we went from a deficit of unprecedented proportions to a surplus.
Yeah.
If you look at it and say, what part of the $3 trillion will we have to, walk through and be able to get to go through? It's not going to be something we can snap our fingers at, but it is, as you look at global economies, something we can manage. Believe it or not, I think we can manage it.
Do you have a perspective on the fact that, I'm assuming China is where we turn to for our debt? Is that right? Are we continuing to borrow from China? Is that where the next 3 trillion will come from?
In all probability, the answer is yes.
That just, that confounds me. Given.
I just wonder how that's manageable.
Well, look at it this way: you're probably on the road to the biggest shift of all, and this may be the harbinger for the biggest shift of all, which is moving out of nationalistic economies and into a true global economy. In which case, $3 trillion of debt from us isn't a big deal. So it's going to change how we, as Kendall goes away, up and comes back. I think what you're going to see is this is also going to upend not just the sociological stuff, but a lot of the economic trends we see. You're starting to see it already. Europe is already trying to figure out how to reinvigorate the EU from an economic standpoint, and share some of the debt from country to country. Now we'll see where that goes. But that may be the one way that you see how all this debt is worked out, is that it becomes more globalized. So that's a trend I would watch for.
You saying everybody shares in everybody else's debt?
Well, actually, it's not so much that everybody shares in it, but what you'll see is as the wealth starts to move into one place. For example, what China's doing right now is they're taking the earnings they're getting from everything else and they're reinvesting it in Africa. Most people don't pay attention to that, but that's where they're pouring a lot of money, is they're reinvesting it in places where there isn't any money. Now, in China's view, it's their march to global conquest, but at the end of the day, it becomes a globalized economy. I don't know that I would look at it and say that we're going to just share debt. I think it's more that we share the overall economy from one to the other. And people will see that in order for that to work, you've got to have balance across more economies, if that makes sense.
I hope manufacturing comes back, at least some of it. I mean, who knows?
Well, the one thing that's happening right now in real time, good, bad, or indifferent, is what's happened to the manufacturing sector in the U.S. right now is that with the interruption and the mistrust in the Chinese manufacturing, there are things that are moving at light speed back into U.S. manufacturing and into European manufacturing, because suddenly they want to be dependent on what has become a more difficult to predict stream. So you'll start to see things that will flow back in, at least temporarily.
Also going back to Mexico.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Mexico is going to, is absolutely going to reap that reward. And you would hope it would bleed into South America as well, where they could use the things or the economic impetus down there. It's good if we can rethink how we do our manufacturing, because we weren't able to move how we do the manufacturing fast enough from a cost basis. This might be a chance for us to make that base become more modernized, more lively, use things like 3D printing, algorithms around AI to bring manufacturing back in a way that keeps it here.
Yeah, I have a buddy who's in the shoe industry, and they're really concerned about the situation, obviously in China, but they're also starting to discuss, well, what if we move the supply chain to Central America and South America?
Exactly. So what's the first thing you do when you do that, right? I get worried about it. I go look for the next cheap place, and that's essentially
they can compete on labor costs. They certainly can't compete on the number of laborers.
Right.
True.
Yeah. But they need it bad. There's whole towns down there that have more people in prison than they do on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And their prisoners are actually, their cities are talking to the government saying, we wouldn't do this. We wouldn't do the crime if we had jobs.
Right.
They just give us jobs. So yeah.
What's that mean? The crime is stealing from stores, stealing food, stealing.
No, it's a lot of kidnapping and extortion.
Okay.
And, murder, and it's a lot of heavy duty crime that's don't go there if you're a traveler. Yeah.
And it's hard to get out of that cycle without something to break the chain.
And that stopped so much of the automotive now is that they can't get cars even if they could sell them.
Right.
Because one supplier of one piece of the entire car is not available. And so the whole car is shut down. That's what I was hearing from the folks at Honda.
Yeah, I just had that experience. My backup camera wasn't working, so my car was in the shop for 2 weeks to get a piece.
Waiting.
To get a part of it, yeah, they got the part, but it wouldn't turn off. I was driving forward and I couldn't access anything else on my dashboard, so I was like, "This is annoying," And bring it in. I'm not going anywhere. Fix it. 2 weeks later, yeah. But at least that's the excuse I got. Well, 2 weeks.
All right. Any other thoughts today, or do we make it a short one?
You can do a short.
All right.
Disappointed Alberto didn't call in from the golf course. He said he was.
Yeah.
He'll tell us tomorrow how that went.
Well, I'm sure he shot 68. So.
And then we'll have Robbie reporting live from the airport tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Happy hour.
Happy hour.
Well, let's jump on tomorrow then. 4 o'clock.
Okay.
On Friday.
Perfect.
See everyone then.
Have a safe trip, Robbie.
See ya. Thanks, man.